Let's talk about lust in dreams. I must say that sex in dreams is a bit of a thing for me, a bit of a weird thing. The first thing you do when you start working with your dreams is you start working on remembering them. And you do this by being active with the dreams, like telling your dreams to your friends or writing dreams down. And so I was writing my dreams down, and these are dreams that I remember up till today because I wrote them down. This takes a while. This really processes them, and I read them afterwards. So these are dreams that I remember very well. So I had this dream from way back in the beginning when I wasn't conscious at all in my dreams. I wasn't lucid, wasn't working with them. I just started recording them. And one of the dreams was, of course, sexual in nature, as they often are. And most of the times, there is never any violence in the sexuality, but it's not nice either. And this dream was a good example. So I was in a big church building with my son, and my son was an adult, and I don't have a son, by the way, but in my dream I had a son, was like maybe 20 years old something, and I'm way older, I'm over 40. So okay, this was my son for some reason, and he wanted to have sex with me. Typical thing that happens in my dreams. And I was completely aroused, there was so much lust. But I didn't want to have sex with him because he was my son, and I mean, this is not a thing that you do. But the lust was so enormous, I couldn't resist it. I had no control. So even though I didn't want to, we still had sex because it was just, yeah, I just couldn't resist. And then, yeah, these are the dreams that I wake up from, like, what the hell? What the hell was that? So that was an old example of when I was still, you could say, unconscious in the dreams, when I was dreaming on automatic pilot. And last night I had another dream. The other dream is from more than 2 years ago, so I have done a lot of work in the meantime. I work so much with my dreams. I work so much on my healing. I have this method that I call the inner beings method that I work a lot with during the daytime. I work a lot channeling my higher self. I also have videos in that, which I will link in the description. So there are a lot of things that I do in the daytime, and automatically this drips into your dream life. Things that you do during the day, you automatically do them while you are dreaming as well. So the dream was, I was in the room that I had when I was a child. So I was in my parents' house, and there was a girl there. She was, how should I describe it? She was not looking very nice. She had this long hair, which was like really greasy, hadn't been combed for years. Her skin was so pale and wobbly. Like it was like she had been living in a dungeon for 10 years, something like this. And she was just basically lying there, not doing much. But there was sexual arousal for some reason. And I wasn't lucid, so I was on automatic pilot in the dream myself, looking at this girl and being a bit disgusted because of the sexual arousal. And I was like, but then I got more conscious, and I started looking at her better, and I thought, why? What's going on here? She's just lying there, nothing is happening. And then I kind of saw a third arm, which was more transparent than her two real arms, touching, areas for sexual arousement. And then on automatic pilot, I said something like that it was disgusting or something. And then it was really weird because at the same time, I was thinking, why did I say that? Was it me saying that? I didn't want to say something so insulting to her. She obviously is not feeling good. So I was what I call inside of an inner being, which is a small part of your ego that has got split off. And you see lots of these inner beings in your dreams. The other girl, by the way, the dungeon girl, was also an inner being. So I was living the dream, you could say, from the perspective of one inner being looking at another inner being. And so my inner being that I was inside of said something on automatic pilot, but I was like, no, gone with this automatic thing. Let's get conscious. And this is actually when you get lucid in a dream, you are inside of an automatic inner being, and as soon as you start getting more consciousness, you get lucid and you get to be yourself instead of just that inner being. But that's a side remark. So And then I started talking to her. I don't really know what I said anymore, but I said something like, "I'm sorry, I said that. I didn't want to insult you. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. Don't feel any shame. It's really not necessary." And then I felt that there was so much sadness inside of her, and I told her to release this, because this is a thing that I do so often working with my inner beings during the daytime. They all hold on to these dense, dark emotions like sadness, like anger, like shame. And the way to get these things out of your system is by asking the inner beings to release them. So I told her, release the sadness, just let your body do what it wants to do. And then she started crying really heavily. And I felt the release as my other inner being persona, you could say. So she was releasing, and I felt the release getting out of me as well. Because, of course, all these inner beings are all part of they're all part of your ego. So when an inner being releases something, then you feel it as well. And in the dream, I felt this very, very obviously, much more intensely than during daytime. So she was releasing the sadness, and then there was anger. I told her to release that as well, and she was screaming and getting angry, and it was getting out, and I could really, really feel it. And then once those things were released, the sexual arousal became massive. It wasn't really mine, it was hers, so I could keep some distance, but through her I felt this lust, this overpowering lust. And I told her, okay, let's release this lust as well. And she got up and she was like, yay! And she came over to me and she was like, okay, let's have sex. Let's release lust. And I said, no, that's not what I was saying. Let's release it. So I explained to her, we're channeling our higher self now. We're gonna release it by speaking light language, channeling sound from our higher self, and making automatic physical movements channeled from our higher self. Which, by the way, I explain in much more detail in the videos that I will link on how to do this. And so she did that, and it was a massive impact. As soon as she started doing that, actually, our two personas became one. So we merged, which is the ultimate goal of all this healing work. That all of these inner beings that got split off become one again, that you're whole again, that you're healed again. By the way, in the language that I speak as a mother tongue, Dutch, whole and healed are the same word. So when you heal, you are whole again. Side remark. So we started speaking this light language, making these movements, and I could feel the lust being removed isn't really the word. It's being processed into something else, and it felt so great. And it felt just like when you're releasing the sadness or this anger. It's intense, but it's great as well. You feel the anger and the sadness and the emotion, but combined with bliss and happiness. It's a weird thing. And it was the same for the lust. So I felt the really power of this sexual energy, but combined with, yes, the feeling of this is a good thing, this is right. And it was really nice. It was also physical, was a really nice feeling. And so that was done. The girl was gone. She was now me. And then the dream continued. I was walking around in the house of my parents. And before, I wasn't really lucid. I was conscious. But it was more like I was thinking, okay, I knew that she was an inner being. But I was just like, oh, this is weird. Normally, I don't see my inner beings this clearly. I don't have visions that are this clear normally. So I didn't know that it was a dream. I thought it was some kind of vision that I was just during the daytime working with my inner beings. But anyway, after we merged, I was completely lucid and I knew it was a dream, or that I was in a dream environment. Walking around in my parents' house, and I saw these lights, like laser beam lights in a pinkish red light. And normally when you're on automatic pilot, you don't notice all of these little details. You just, or even if you notice them, you don't register them, you just walk past them. But now I was like, okay, this is weird. What are these pink laser beam lights doing in my house? And I looked at the source of them, and it was a small round camera projecting these lights. And I looked into the camera, like, okay, a small camera. And there's this thing of when I'm healing, when I'm doing good things in my dream, I usually get yanked out of the dream, and very often I have a false awakening, or I'm suddenly in a totally different environment. So I know that there is someone, the other team, or however you want to call them, that evil ones. that are monitoring my dreams, that are sabotaging me. In fact, as soon as I do good things, they yank me out. So I thought, aha, camera. You're not really lucid in these dreams anyway. I thought maybe the other team is watching me with this camera, and then they know that I'm there. So I turned the camera the other way. And I don't know what all that means, by the way. That's just a detail. But as soon as I turned the camera away so that they couldn't see me anymore, again, I got this overpowering lust. So this sexual energy that was just taking me over. But I was lucid, so and I had just invented a better way of handling it, because in the past, what I did when this happened is very often there is a dark entity behind this that wants to feed off the sexual energy. So in my dream, I would go chasing that dark entity, trying to heal it, or at least trying to identify it. But that never really worked well, because as soon as I start healing a dark entity in my dream, I get yanked away. So I never, or very rarely, get to finish the healing anyway. So then I thought, okay, I found a better way. Maybe releasing this lust is better than going chase the dark entities. So I got this, I was standing at the camera, got this overpowering sexual energy, and I said, okay, let's chill and let's move on automatic pilot and see what comes. But then I started making like more sexual movements, and I was like, oh no, that's what I meant. So I took some time, even in the dream, to really align with my higher self. And how I usually do this during the daytime is, first I anchor into the earth, into the core of the earth, or I kind of have a web over the surface that I tighten so that I'm really grounded. And then I go upwards through all of my higher beings, the chain of my higher self, as I see it. For some reason, I couldn't really find the grounding, maybe because the earth wasn't really there in my dream or something. But anyway, I made this chain upwards. So I was linked to my higher self. And then I started making the automatic movements, and then the light language that came via the channel to my higher self. And it was very different from the sexual movements that I was making earlier. So it was really speaking the light language and making lots of hands and arm gestures. And that, again, it worked so well. It was this overpowering feeling of something being released. It felt intense, powerful, but also great. It felt so right. It felt physically enormously good, in a bit of a sexual way, but not a normal sexual way. So difficult to explain, a bit of a mix between bliss and sexual energy and just nice things. So I was like, okay, I found something great here. I found a great way of handling this lust that I always have in my dreams. So I kind of made a broadcast, it's still a dream at that moment, to everyone that could hear it, all the inner beings, just speaking via my thoughts to them, of saying, when you feel lust, do what I just did. Channel our higher self, speak light language, make the automatic movements coming from the higher self, and you will feel this great relief. You will feel this intense physical pleasure, and it'll be great. And I think they kind of reacted massively, because I felt something enormous happening in my body. And there was a massive shift. It was so big that I couldn't really feel the details of it. It was just like, poof, something happened. And it was kind of that. So yeah, so it really worked. The inner beings worked with me. The releasing went really well. So there was definitely something there. And then just to end the story of the dream, what happened next is I took some dream characters and I was like, let's get out of here. Why are we still stuck here in this place where we do not want to be? Let's go to paradise. And I worked a lot on learning how to fly in my dreams. I'll make a separate video at some point, because flying in your dreams is really cool. So I flew off through the house. You can go through walls. This is also something you can practice in dreams. So I just went through the roof. Then I realized the inner beings could not follow me because they couldn't fly. So I was really confused of, okay, what to do now? But then I just knew that my higher self was pulling me downwards. So I followed, and I went down through all the floors and through the earth. And I knew that inner beings could follow me now because they could jump into the hole. And then we kind of came to this castle that I remembered from my childhood, this fairy tale castle. I don't really know where it comes from, but somehow I remembered, and it was so great, and I just started crying with joy and finally being safe enough to release this cry for something. It was great. So it was such a nice ending. I mean, it is so rare that my dreams have a beautiful ending like this. So overall, it was just an amazing dream, and of course, dreams are more than dreams. It was an amazing way of handling the lust that I have in my dreams. I really felt that there was this major shifts last night, and it's not just because of what I did. Because often when we're healing, we think that we have to do all the work. We have to find the way to heal. We have to do things, but actually, your higher self is in control of your healing all the time. I'm just in this flow right now of during daytime, lots of things are being released physically. When I meditate, things come automatically. I don't have to go searching for them. They just burst out of me, and all I have to do is work with them. Just let them pass. And this is just the stage that I'm in right now. So I'm in this huge healing stage, which is orchestrated completely by my higher self. And that's why the healing is going so well in my dreams. Of course, because I've worked with the dreams, I get lucid, I get conscious, I know what to do. This is all of this helps, of course. But it is because of I am in this phase right now, I'm in this flow with my higher self, that I could do this dream healing. So it's always a combination of being on the flow of your higher self and then being active and doing things yourself. It's a balance. You don't have to do everything yourself. Your higher self doesn't have to do everything. You work together. So that was a dream that I had last night. I really wanted to make this video about it because it was so enormous. And I really feel like I have found a good way to handle this enormous lust that I have in dreams. So I hope that this was useful for you, that it might inspire you to work with your dreams as well, because they are such a good place for healing, and not only because they are so powerful for healing, but they're also fun. It's always a bit of slapstick when I wake up, like, what did I do in my dreams? What the hell was that? It's really nice. So like this video if you liked it, follow the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.